Hello, Gorton Law in Malden. This is Jamie Gorton. How can I help you? Oh, a letter from immigration? Yeah, you called the right place. We can help. Sure. What kind of letter? Oh, a request for evidence on an I-751 petition to remove conditions on your residence? You don't say. Yeah, of course. No, we can help. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll take a look at it. Sure. Out of curiosity, did you have a lawyer helping you when you filed the... Oh, no? Oh, don't worry. Happens all the time. Anyway, no, we can absolutely help. We've done this many times before. We'll get you set up with a consultation. I just need to put you on a quick hold, okay? Thanks so much. Thanks for calling. Hello, and welcome back to the Gorton Law YouTube channel. My name is Jamie Gorton. I am the lead attorney at the office. We're located in Malden, Massachusetts, just north of Boston, and we help families unite legally under the immigration laws of the United States. We help people defend their rights if they're having immigration problems, and we also help businesses hire and retain world-class talent for their enterprises. And among the many other things we do is we help people respond to requests for evidences, letters for their I-751 petitions. And before we get any further into that, it is a very common area. It's a question that we get a lot, and it's oftentimes the first chance I get to meet one of my clients is that they've made it up to this point in the process, but now they need to reach out to a professional for help. But as always, this channel has a sponsor, and this week's sponsor is green cards, right? Obviously, I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, these are not like the green cards, right? These are playing cards. I'm never gonna get my own green card, right? I'm a little torn up about it. I was kind of born a citizen. Yeah, but that's what it's all about, right? Green cards. You need one. I can help you get one. That's what we're doing here. Let's talk about the rest of today's project. So I was on YouTube, fancy that, and I was browsing YouTube, and I saw a woman who did a video, and it was very compelling because she's not a lawyer. She is not an immigration professional, and she just did it on her own. And she did a video, and it was called, my I-751 application, no lawyer, no interview. Here's how I did it. And then, wouldn't you know, 9 months later, she records a new YouTube video that's called How I Responded to My Request for Evidence on My I-751 Application. It's just like, please make it stop. Take down the first video. Please help me help you. Anyway, as I told our imaginary caller, this is a very common situation, and requests for evidence on an I-751 are not that rare. And if you're holding an I-751 request for evidence, this video can help. But as always, the best thing that I can suggest to you at this moment, finish this video, go and call an immigration attorney for assistance. They will also have seen this problem happen a lot, and they will also be able to give you guidance. And if you don't know who to call to, reach out to my office. We represent clients in all 50 states and around the world, and we know how to get you through this in one piece. So when you are filing your I-751, you're saying that you've been married, it's been 2 years since you got your green card, and for most people, they are filing jointly with the U.S. citizen spouse who is also signing off on the application. And your goal is to submit a big stack of paperwork to immigration. Immigration will receive it, think about it for what feels like a million years, and then they will mail you the 10-year green card back, and then you are done, and you don't have to worry about green card renewals for 10 years. The issue that we run into is that immigration is very picky and very precise about that technique. And if they have any concerns, then they will address those concerns by sending a request for evidence, or an RFE. And the problem with the RFEs is that if immigration is sending a request for evidence on any issue, their rules say that they have to send the RFE for any possible issue that they think stands between them and adjudicating the case. After all, that's what the request for evidence is. It's a letter from immigration that says, your application did not give us enough information to make a decision on your case. Here's what you need to do. And then it'll have, a huge letter listing a million different things, probably you've already sent in a bunch of them, and it can be really scary to get that letter and not have that understanding in your mind at first. So let's take a nice calming breath and see what we can do to help. First things first, did you file your taxes to USCIS? Did you take your, not just your taxes, did you file your tax transcripts with USCIS? If you don't know what that means, call a lawyer. But immigration wants to see that you are married filing joint on those tax returns with your US citizen spouse. And if you don't turn in the taxes, or if you turn in taxes that are little wonky, right? Like, oh, I mean, I can't do that because my spouse filed as head of household for some stupid reason, then you're going to have some issues. Also, if immigration's in a bad mood, or you just get a bad officer that day who's just not feeling very good, and you just turned in your taxes instead of a transcript, that can precipitate an RFE as well. The next thing that immigration would want to make sure that they have is proof that you're living together. Remembering as well that if you have moved with the green card, you are under an obligation to provide immigration that new address. But if you do change your address or change your residence, you need to be able to show that you were living together at both locations. And that's something that's very easy for people to forget because, they're married, they get the green card, they know they're not going to get kicked out of the United States anytime soon, so they're okay to go and buy that house that they've been saving for. And they moved with they don't move with immigration, or, there's problems that come out of that change of address. So you do need to have conclusive proof that immigration can look at and verify that you're living with the US citizen spouse. In these videos, I sometimes talk about the white picket fence vision of marriages, and I talk about this in consultations. And what I mean by the white picket fence version of marriages is that inside of immigration's imagination, to the extent that we can think of it as having an imagination, they want to see a certain type of relationship between married people. And in their imagination, you have a single family house with a white picket fence around the outside, and you have 1.5 children and maybe like 1.75 dogs and 2.1 cars, and there's certain things that you do together, right? And that's oftentimes where these letters are coming from, is people are at a point where they think, I don't need a lawyer. I can read and write English. This is a silly little form. And, I'm really married, right? I'm really married, so I don't have anything to worry about, right? And no, you do. You need to show immigration that you are in a marriage that immigration still finds acceptable and that immigration finds worthy of removing the conditions on your green card. So a very common question after the taxes and after the proof that you're living together is, did you turn in the bank statements? Are they joint bank statements? Do both people in the relationship send their direct deposit into that bank statement? And if not, what's going on? And is this the bank statement, the joint bank statements? Are these the statements that show that this account is being used for the ordinary everyday expenses of the household, like rent and mortgage payments, insurance payments, cell phone bills, streaming services, groceries, things like that? If you did not turn in adequate evidence of that, then again, no surprise that there's a request for evidence that's coming down the line. The same goes for liabilities. Did you turn in any proof that you have commingled liabilities? Not every household will, but most of them will. A joint credit card, for example, if that's where you do your spending, if you're trying to get points or miles, that's perfectly fine as long as you're turning it over and explaining to immigration to some degree, this is how we do things in this family, right? Now, even if you've done all of this, you can still run into a problem with immigration sending a request for evidence. And this is really where a lot of smart people who correctly just want to save some money and don't want to deal with these bald, nerdy lawyers talking about green cards all the time. The question is, did you really send in enough evidence? When we turn in a green card application, it's about maybe, 150 pages long. And about, maybe a third of that is going to be the actual forms and paperwork to get the initial 2-year green card. When we do the I-751 applications, we send in way more than 160 pages, even though the application form is much smaller. We send in way more evidence with the I-751 because of this problem, right? Let's take a step back. I-751 requests are taking approximately 1 lifetime to do. I mean, maybe not a human lifetime. Maybe it's more like, I don't know, an insect's lifetime or like a small wooded creature. But it's taking over 2 years for your average person to get an answer on this. And many people are getting answers like right up to the point when their automatic extension is going to expire. And it's very, very stressful. So immigration is going to be able to help everyone if you're turning in a good application from the very beginning and they don't have to do a request for evidence. But the reason why we're turning in all of this extra paperwork that we didn't do with the green card application is to avoid the RFE, to get a prompt decision, but also because, drumroll, immigration wants to see all of this evidence for the duration of the marriage. And that is the single biggest difference from a green card application that you did to get the 2-year green card versus trying to renew it with the I-751 petition to remove conditions. They want to see the evidence cover that entire period of time from when you got the green card until you file it, which means that you're not just turning in a bank statement like you might have with the green card application. You're not turning in a lease. You're not turning in a bill. You are turning in years worth of bills. You are turning in years worth of taxes, years worth of bank statements. And I think that that is probably the number one issue that people run into, is finding that happy balance between turning in every single piece of paperwork that's ever existed versus turning in, not enough that creates a request for evidence, that creates delays for your cases. That means that you are now beyond the extension letter and having all of those problems that appear as knock-on effects to a delay in your case. Well, I don't actually recommend sending in 24 bank statements, and I don't actually recommend sending in 24 credit card statements or 24 utility bills, although that seems to be what immigration says they want. My office, we have some happy mediums that we strike, and we work with our clients to turn in a comprehensive quantum of evidence that is manageable for everyone to work with each other, but also is enough that immigration can look at it and see that, there are not any major changes as this documentation develops or as this paperwork describes the story of the family. So that is our suggestions on what to do when you get the I-751. It's probably time to get help from a lawyer if you have a letter from the I-751 requesting additional evidence. You probably did it on your own, and that's okay. I'm not here to shame anyone, and I don't have a time machine, even if I wanted to go back and, try to grab you before you send that case and tell you, no, not yet. Did you send in all of your taxes, please? I don't have the time machine to do that. So instead, what we can do is sit you down and say, let's address this problem head on and just power through it. Let's see if we can do this where you're not going to get scheduled for an interview, we hope. Let's see if we can do this without having to get any more nasty letters from immigration. And if anything on this checklist is missing, maybe the spouse did file as married filing separately, God help you. Or maybe, there's a problem with the bank accounts or something is going on. Definitely talk to a lawyer. That's step number 1. Step number 2, get a good quantum of evidence, make sure it's comprehensive and covers the entire scope of the marriage to some degree, and also make sure that you're presenting the story of your family as one that immigration is able to intuitively understand. Remember that the system is designed around the white picket fence theory of marriages, and try to play into that and do your best to show your evidence of how that's progressing. And third, don't panic. Like I said, if immigration is sending a request, that means that they have to request anything that they might need to make a decision, even if you've already submitted it, or even if it's really not at all relevant to your case. That's really our keys to success in responding to I-751 applications. And as I mentioned, it is very common, nothing to be ashamed of. And if you are recording YouTube videos on how to do this on your own, and then you get an RFE about it, please do everyone a favor. Take down the first video and have them call a lawyer. That's all for us on this video. We hope you enjoyed. We hope that you can like and subscribe and all the customary YouTube stuff to make sure that our messages and our pieces of consumer advice are making it to as many people as possible. And if you do need an immigration lawyer, visit us at gorton.law. Links in the description, and we'll be happy to do the best that we can. And if you'll excuse me, I have an imaginary client I have to go back to talking to. Until then, have a great day. Hey, thanks for holding. About that I-751. When can you come in? Great, sure. We'll take it from there. Let me ask you a few more questions before we get everything set up. Thanks so much.